At that second of death, where does that consciousness go?
Whatever is born will die, and whatever is dead is again reborn. Anyone who has done very good karma here on earth, very positive karma fal, is going into higher lokas. The heaven is like a 10-star hotel. Everything is only to do with the senses. If there is real devotion and awakening through devotion here on earth, then after death, the soul goes to Golok, Vaikuntha. When you think you are actually here, you will actually be there also. You actually travel. So there's a realm for everyone, depending on your evolution here. Enlightenment is right here, right now. Our mind takes us for a ride. Know this for certain, that there is a higher power which will help you extend your free will. Happiness is a state of mind. Manufacture it by yourself. You are the birthless, deathless, ever-present, ever-shining, effulgent luminosity of consciousness. You are that.
I'm excited to get clarity on this from you. I understand that in death, the gross body is what dies. You're not the gross body. That is what becomes ashes and goes. So when I'm talking about the awareness or consciousness that is so-called permanent, at that second of death, where does that consciousness, or I don't know if we can also call it like or maybe a subtle body, where does that go? Does it like a few options I have, or does it immediately take birth into a new body somewhere else in the country or the state? Or does it roam around in different realms and lokas? And like there's different scriptures like the, Garud Puran that kind of mentions this as well. Or for example, does it, vanish? Like what exactly happens between that process? And I'm referring to if we don't get enlightened in this lifetime, if we don't get moksha, if you can explain that process in between.
Yes. See, Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha, Bhagavad Gita says, which means whatever is born will die, and whatever is dead is again reborn. The sukma sharir, which is the mind, sukma sharir includes, you see, pranmay kosh, manomay kosh, vijnanmay kosh. And anandmay kosh is the causal body. This, along with what you're calling pure consciousness, the Atman, they move away from the dead physical body. Only the physical body is cut off from the rest of you. You see, even just now you feel you are more mind than body, isn't it? Yeah. You're not aware of the body unless you're made aware of it. So we usually think of ourselves as an embodied mind. So all of that is going. Where it depends on your karma and your sanskars. So anyone who has done very good karma here on earth, very positive karma fal, is going into higher lokas. And very bad is there are different stages of narak. You must have heard of all this.
What we call hell, even in
yeah.
Right.
And before you actually reach a destination like these, there's a pitrulok, the loka of the pitris, departed souls. So sort of you go there, and then based on your karma, you go to whichever realm. They are worlds of sojourn, as it were. But there are also people on earth who have very good karma, but not much desire. They don't have desires and passions. So they obviously won't prefer to go to heaven. Right?
Right.
The heaven is like a 10-star hotel where everything is only to do with the senses. So they don't enjoy the life in the senses. How will they go to heaven? So they have, and some amount of spirituality has come. That's why the distance from the senses. So they will definitely go into higher realms of existence. They are called Tapalok, Satyalok.
Different lokas.
Yeah, different lokas. Where they continue their spiritual practices and attain illumination. It's a better ambience than what you can get here. And their positive karma and the good sanskars that they have manufactured here on earth help them there. So they continue their spiritual evolution journey. But those who attain some level of high devotion and awakening right here on Bhu, they go straight to the loka of Sagun Brahman, which means
merge.
They more than saying merge, they go into the realm of the Ishtadevata. Here you have deep devotion to Krishna. I can see the level of devotion. So you can go to Golok. If there is real devotion and awakening through devotion here on earth, then after death, the soul goes to Golok, Vaikuntha, even
Kailash,
Kailash, Ramakrishna, all like extensions in Sagun Brahman.
Okay.
See, this is very real. When you think you are actually here, you will actually be there also. As long as we have not transcended body-mind complex completely and awakened into pure awareness, we actually travel.
But where do these realms or these lokas exist?
Where are they situated?
Yeah.
See, there are, Vedanta recognizes 3 types of spaces. One is called the Sthulakash, this physical space. Physics is only studying Sthulakash. Then you have Chittakash, the mental space, and you have Chidakash, the space of awareness. All these lokas will be along mental and spirit. They are spiritual realms, isn't it? The higher lokas. So along those spaces they exist.
Okay.
So you're physically not going to find them. And the jnanis and yogis, those who are like devoted to Nirgun Brahman, they go to, there is a Nirgun Brahma lok also. Just like our Sagun Brahma lok is there, Nirgun Brahman. So there's a realm for everyone. Depending on your evolution here, you're supposed to go there. But please remember this, all this only matters if you are tied down by a personality sense. You're not able to overcome it. Right?
If you have desires left.
If you have desires left, mind is working along these lines, then all this, these are the realms of sojourn. But if here only awakening has happened, you see, the process of Vedantic inquiry is so direct and simple. If you have a really clear mind, you suddenly awaken to the truth of consciousness. Then do you think you will travel? The mind, the manomaya kosh itself dissolves at that point. So then there's no question of, so to what extent do karma, sanskars, all this matter? They matter as long as your mind is active. Your personality sense is invested in your mind.
You're associated with your mind and body then. If you become totally...
Yeah, if you're fully enlightened, see, where will you go? Ihaiva tarjita sargo yesham sthami sthitam mana. Bhagavad Gita. It's here and now. Enlightenment is right here, right now. Our mind takes us for a ride. Check this out and see. At the point of enlightenment, you drop mind. You realize it doesn't exist apart from thoughts.
Yes.
Only awareness exists. If this becomes an actual first-person experience, you are not going anywhere. Right here, you will be full of peace and bliss and ecstasy.
I practice this like in the last for a long time now, and especially recently. Even when I'm like walking up and down the stairs, I just like I don't know how to explain it, but I just, instead of just kind of walking like a robot, I actually become what I am, awareness. This is just that body is walking up and down. It feels very different. It feels like
exactly
there's that you are like happy and blissful, even if you're doing like just chores or what people call like boring things, and even then you're complete in yourself.
Knowledge is instant enlightenment.
There's what you're talking about, that people who are only bound by their ego have to worry about lokas, or they will go to hell, heaven, because there's a story of just a Ramana Maharishi where I think where he's like someone has written an article about him, criticizing him, saying bad things about him, some journalist. And Ramana Maharishi, gets that, and he's correcting like the grammar mistakes and things in it. And one of the disciples says that, what are you doing, Ramana Maharishi? I mean, this journalist has written bad about you. Why are you fixing the mistakes, trying to make it better? What's wrong with you? And then Ramana Maharishi says that, what do you mean? This article isn't about me. It's about some fellow named Ramana Maharishi. He's so disassociated with his so-called name. That
this is the real jnani.
It's very inspiring. There is so in the when they
would sing bhajans in front of him, he would also sing. They were singing his name actually.
My mom says
he would also sing, and if somebody laughed, he would say, "It's good to do bhajan." So totally detached from the body-mind complex.
And he used to also say Ramana Maharishi ki jai ho, Ramana Maharishi ki jai ho. As if he's not identified with his name.
Oh, the extent of his experience was such that, see, you must have read the life
of
his thighs were bitten by rats and vermin and all that, and he was totally unconscious of it, completely absorbed in the knowledge of Brahman. Even later in life, they found such things. See, they would press his feet, and he wouldn't realize that his feet are being pressed. If they asked him that, is this okay? He would say, oh, I didn't realize that. Sensation was so limited to the body, and he only knew where his... you can't even say for such a person where his mind was. There was no mind.
There was no mind at that point. There is a, in the Mandukya Upanishads, when I studied under Swami Sarvapriyanandaji, so there's a specific section or part or chapter that talks about like apara vidya and astrology, like astrology being one of them, that it's not the highest truth, it's lower knowledge. So it's good for the relative world if you have to utilize it, but it's not for the highest truth. A little bit I want to talk about free will and destiny, because it's kind of contradictory in the sense that if we are doing so many practices and techniques and meditations, especially for like normal householders and students, mind management hacks and everything, we're essentially saying that there is free will. You can make your life better materialistically and spiritually. But then there are so many theories that say that everything is predestined. Astrology is one proof that a lot of things are already written, predestined. So how do those things go together?
See, practically, I will tell you, believe in the exercise of free will to the extent you can exercise it. Because if you absolutely think determinism is the only truth, then you won't muster the energy to do things you want to do. So go as far as you can. You will understand the limits of your free will very quickly. Once you understand the limits of your free will, know this for certain, that there is a higher power which will help you extend your free will. Only the free have free will, actually speaking. Until then, will is bound by causation. It is part of your mind. Mind has its epistemic limits, and causation is the law. That is why we actually don't have free will. But then why did Vivekananda say you are the creator of your own destiny?
I've been reading his work.
Yes.
So
he said this because you must keep exercising your will to the extent you can. And the higher power, what we call Ishvara, God, will help increase the tether of that rope, which will help you exercise it even better and better further. And see, like now you get into sadhana. Initially, you make the sankalpa, you will get up at 4 o'clock, but it's next to impossible, right, on day one. But gradually, if you keep exercising will in the right direction, in about a week's time, you'll be able to do it. And with practice, then you only want to do that. You only want to get up at 4 because that's the Brahma Muhurt. The mind is so fresh and aware at that time. So you see, it is possible to extend the tether of the rope of your free will through practice, through repetition, through the grace of God. Gradually, we move towards a completely free will. But if you right in the beginning say, oh, determinism only is the truth. So why should I
then
exercise
you won't do
it?
anything.
Then God also won't do anything for us.
Paramahansa Ramakrishna used to, I think, tell Swami Vivekananda also, okay, Ma ko pucho is Kalima, is his Isht. His experience of having darshan of Kalima, being able to communicate with her and build that personal relationship. First of all, I would love if you can talk about how, I mean, of course, he was enlightened, but how, in an avatar, but how was he able to build that relationship? And also, do you think it's possible in this time to actually have that relationship where you, like, God is essentially in front of you, you are able to talk and feel their presence?
See, Sagun Sakar Upasana is a very important part of spiritual life. Sri Ramakrishna shows this in his own life. He is avatar. He is God himself incarnate. Why did he show us this? For most minds, Sagun Sakar Upasana helps them like anything. In fact, to practice any yoga, you need a Sagun Sakar aspect. So, although yes, Raja Yoga and all this, they may not that much subscribe to a personal God. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if the mind is trained through devotion to a Sakar Murti, and the mind itself can be overcome if you are dedicated to Sagun aspect. Because you are constantly thinking of the attributes of God. You are focusing your mind on the form of God. It will transcend all its negative nature, the mind will do that. If you don't have a Sakar Sagun aspect, it will keep brooding over something or the other. Then at the time of meditation, you suddenly realize, "Arey, what was I thinking of? How do I overcome this?" Most of the youngsters today, you see, they are going into all kinds of negative states because they don't have a positive influence impacting their lives.
Right.
So the worship of God, Sakar Upasana, Sagun Upasana, plays a big role in transforming our mind, in changing our habits of thought, in removing our compulsions, in manufacturing devotion, in manufacturing concentration. I told you all these yogas and all these practices, every philosophy in fact will help you towards this. So never discount it. Like, don't say that, oh, this is not required. If you know the ways of the mind, you will understand it is all required. It'll help you.
Definitely. In every podcast that we do, I always like to keep this practical segment where I bring up like a real life situation that maybe a lot of the viewers can relate to, like a general situation that they're facing right now in their life. We did the same with Swami Sarvapriyanandaji. A lot of people could relate with the solutions he was giving. So I'll give you like maybe a problem. So let's say for specifically talking about youngsters, they are having a lot of identity crisis, and in that point they're trying to find what they call a soulmate or a partner, and they're having relationship issues, and that because of that depression and hatred and all these feelings are coming. At that point, how should they react to that situation and actually understand it in the right manner based on Vedanta?
See, fundamentally, I would ask that if you yourself are in a crisis, why do you want to drag another into it? If you are doing well, if you are doing really happy in your own life, then you can bring another person into your life and share that happiness. When you are passing through an identity crisis, you don't know who you are, and getting into all sorts of relationships, this won't work. See, there's a video called Laws of Relationships. You can see it if you want. It's on YouTube. The point is this: without a healthy mind, an awakened yogic kind of mind, relationships, they're huge traps, isn't it?
Yes.
A jaded mind, another jaded mind, what are they going to make out of it?
Yes, trouble and
inviting trouble. So first of all, correct the ways of the mind. Do some kind of yoga, become deeply aware within you. You start getting your satisfaction, your joy right from within yourself. Happiness is a state of mind. Manufacture it by yourself. Then you can bring somebody into your life to share that happiness. Happiness shared is happiness doubled. But before doing that, if you are messing up with other minds, life will become another big crisis. This is what is happening with youngsters, because absolutely no touch of yoga, no spiritual idea given to them. They are only experimenting.
Right.
With this and that.
Trying to find happiness here, there.
Yeah. I once had a student in IIT Delhi. I didn't know during the class I had covered a chapter called Neurophysiology of Addiction, and that fellow was a big drug addict and substance abuse, everything he had done. I didn't know that. But after he passed through that course, after some 3 months, he contacted me and said, Ma, I found that this... the way you handled addictions and how to de-addict yourself, come out of it, that helped me immensely. I have tried hard to come out of this, and please keep your prayers on me so that I complete the process. So like this, what I'm saying is a sickly mind, a mind which is compulsive by nature, it will suffer a whole lot of things. Today's ADHD, OCD, these kinds of problems, mental health issues, depression, all these are widespread only because there is no touch of consciousness. Happiness is an exponential function of your consciousness, of awareness. If that touch is not there, you cannot be happy by yourself. You require something to be happy. Some drug, something has to keep you entertained. This is a really tragic state of affairs. So that's why this has to be addressed early in life, which means right from school. A little bit of meditation, little calming mind, emotional intelligence tips, all this must be provided to youngsters. I am doing all that. See, we are conducting courses in 5 IITs. This year, IIT-Kharagpur is floating 3 courses on essence of Upanishads, existential phenomenology, all these kinds of things.
That is wonderful. And IIT being such a top school, that they will be able to further spread that message.
So important for a young mind to grasp this.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a whirlpool actually.
And when you're talking about addictions, like drugs and alcohol is the one thing, but it can be addictions of social media, of shopping, of eating junk food. I mean, I can go on and on.
Yeah.
But everyone in their
The
life...
depressed mind can do anything. It just wants some kind of momentary satisfaction just to get out of its negative states. So take care. That's why.
Yeah,
This is
that's
what
very
actually parents must inspire in children, that first learn to take care of your mind. And it has cumulative effect with age. Yeah.
I think just for like a minute, I would like to actually, if people are watching and those who can specifically like relate to this topic, and you said parents have such a big role. I completely agree, because this is such a delicate age, young, and then teenage years, and then even in your 20s, it's such a delicate age. You even have a video. I don't want to go too much talk about this, but you have a video, people can look it up, about the power of ojas.
Yeah.
Youngsters, again, are just trying to find happiness in temporary things that will not give them happiness. My brother and I, that's what we're trying to spread the message, that really just realize yourself. Unless you're happy with who you are and your true self, you will not find happiness anywhere else. You will get depressed. You will, in fact, waste your energy, waste your creativity because of that. Such an important point.
They can waste 1 or 2 decades of their life with addictions and all that.
Right. And parents, if they're watching, definitely they should be trying to instill these thoughts into their children. It will benefit
and even this relationship psychology, this is also being taught in universities. Only committed relationships will give you some measure of joy. If the relationship is uncommitted, it is another disaster. You're adding negativity more and more to your life, plus karma will go the wrong way, and the entire impact will fall on the individual.
Yeah.
So take care of all this, right? In the way that hush, Sri Ramakrishna says, manhush. Manush is manhush, one who has this awakened consciousness. I must take care of my mind, take care of my system first. Spiritual knowledge is imperative, very important.
There's a topic, the last topic I want to go into, which is, I think, very, very deep, but it's the Ashtaraka Gita. Swami Vivekananda, I think, reads specific translation, which is this one, by Thomas Bryant. So, and there's a very I wouldn't say coincidence, but it's the story behind this is, so our guru, my guru is Neem Karoli Baba, and we were introduced to him in 2016. And, Swami Vivekananda would mention this many, many times. We never realized it, but recently we realized that this translation, which is very poetic, very compassionate, of the Ashtaraka Gita, is actually written by Neem Karoli Baba's very prominent disciple, Thomas Bryant. And Neem Karoli Baba was mentioned many times in this book too, and it was so, having that connection between Neem Karoli Baba and Ramakrishna is just very beautiful. This book, I really want you to talk about it and what it symbolizes, because and please feel free to talk about that whole story between Ashtaraka and Raja Janaka as well, and how he came upon this realization.
Ashtavakra Samhita, which is also Ashtavakra Gita, it is the ultimate in Advaita Vedanta. It is the most undiluted insight into the truth of our being. Direct hit at who you are. And everything that he is saying, you must read it after your meditation or something. It will hit you. Everything that he is saying is the absolute truth about ourselves. See, Vivekananda used to say, Advaita is the simplest way in which you can put truth. He is doing that there, Ashtavakra. You know the story of Ashtavakra? Yeah,
I think he had 8, basically had a deformity. Was it also, I don't know the story behind that, but I think it was with his father, he had given some curse.
Yeah, that's right. It's like this. See, this book is a conversation between Janaka and Ashtavakra. And the highest insights of Advaita Vedanta are here. And so simply, unsullied teaching, completely, doesn't even touch upon mind and all that. It goes straight into the heart of awareness. It's the heart of awareness.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And the story goes that actually his father, Ashtavakra's father, was Kahod Rishi. And his mother was Sujata. He learnt the Upanishads the great Vedic literature while he was still in his mother's womb. And he became such an expert at it that he could detect if somebody was wrongly chanting it. And it so happened that his father one day chanted it wrongly, sitting right there. And this child still in the womb heard it. And it seems he said it, that Father, this chanting is not right. I've learned from you only, this is not right. And Kahod was angry. Now, you go ahead, come in. And so he cursed the child, saying, may you, an unborn child who's trying to teach me, may you be born with 8 deformities. So he came out as Ashtavakra, 8 deformities. But then later it was, because what happened was, in order to bring wealth into the family for the upkeep of the child, Kahod went to the palace of King Janaka. There was a scholar called Vandi, they say.
Okay.
He was challenging all the scholars of those times to come and debate with him. And Kahod also went into it, but he got defeated in the debate.
And he was summoned to...
Yeah, Vandi had them all drowned in a river and actually sent for some yajna, something like that, the story is. And so when Ashtavakra became 12 years old, he and Shvetaketu went and challenged Vandi and defeated him. Such was the, glory and luminosity of that young boy, this Ashtavakra, that at the age of 12, he's defeating the mightiest scholar of the land at that time.
And I believe the story goes that as per rule, he also the king had to drown, but Ashtavakra said that he doesn't want him to drown and change the rules of it because it's
Vandi only wanted to revive his father and the others who were drowned.
Right.
Ashtavakra only wanted to revive them. So Vandi consented, and then his father came out, and then it seems he had those deformities also corrected. The story goes like that. But the point is this, a child of that age had this supreme wisdom. And Janaka, that's why, accepts him as the guru.
So at the age of, which age was he when?
He was only 12 when he first went to Janaka's court. Wow. But this Ashtavakra Gita speaks of both of them as quite old, which means much later this conversation must have. There are many stories between Janaka and Ashtavakra. Very many stories. Because this is the direct truth. The stories are also humorous. Even if, like once they say that Janaka was, this is there in Uttarakhand, they will tell you these stories. Janaka is chanting Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. He's sitting on his cot and chanting. And Ashtavakra comes there and says, he frowns. Why should you chant? You are already Brahman. So he says, okay, let me also chant something. This is my water pot. This is my water pot. He had a water pot. So it's my water pot. Kamandalu, what they say? My Kamandalu, my Kamandalu. Now Janaka is disturbed and says, who's challenging you? It is your Kamandalu. And he says, who's challenging you? You are Brahman. Why should you keep chanting, I'm Brahman? So like this, there are humorous conversations between the two. The point is, both were illumined by this knowledge. Janaka was a Raja Rishi, Raja Kam Rishi. And this was a Brahmagnani with all the tejas of a Brahmagnani. Ashtavakra Samhita is the highest.
And if you have to sum up like the message of this text,
the message of this text is, you are the birthless, deathless, ever-present, ever-shining, effulgent luminosity of consciousness. You are that. And nothing else matters, that's why.
And when I think King Janaka asks that, Ye Satya Wo Sach, he's referring to the fact that is my dream where I suffered and everything got destroyed true, which felt so real, or is this waking state real?
And what did Ashtavakra say?
What?
The witness of that state where you dreamt of all that, those disasters, and the witness of this state, that is what you are. The waking and the dream, the witness of these states is who you are. You are neither that is such nor this is such. But the witness of what you saw is
what we call Turiya. Is that
Turiya?
Yeah.
So the supreme witness of all 3 states.
And practically this knowledge definitely can help because...
definitely.
In a moment where I feel like if someone is suffering or really going through what we call problems in life, whether it's disease, financial loss, job loss, relationship issues, depression, at that point, if they have this knowledge, they can realize that what I'm thinking is true. It's not true in that same sense because I'm just attached to this mind and body were just impermanent and in a sense not even real. So it dissolves a lot of suffering.
See, it is truth that liberates the mind. It is truth that corrects the mind. It is truth that illumines the mind. You just put your stand on truth, things will be taken care naturally. Only for those who are not able to grasp the truth, there are methods. All kinds of methods are there. But if you can stand on the truth, nothing like that.
It's very important. I use this personally myself on a day where if I'm not feeling like I'm feeling so-called depressed or anxious, or if I see something and I feel like, oh, I wish I was doing that, and that feeling of jealousy even arises for a second, I remind myself of this knowledge, and then all of a sudden it disappears because I realize what I'm thinking is not wrong.
That's right. Sadhus begin their day that way, You start with Aham Brahmasmi. Drive it deep into your heart. I am Brahman. I am not the mind or the body.
Such an honor speaking to you, Mataji. Thank you so much for this enlightening conversation. I'm sure it will help many, many people. Thank you.
Thank you.